Hi-ho 420 MSP, Harry Brailsford here. We are back for our first quarter check-in with Mark Haskelson of the compliancy group out of New York. And boy, we're both alive and kicking and keeping it safe out there. So Mark, welcome back. We have not talked to you since the end of last year. It's a new year, a new decade, and quite frankly, it's a new world. I'll leave it at that.
That's a hell of a doozy, right? No, it's a pleasure to be back. I'm sorry that I was a little tied up at the end of last year and haven't had a chance to spend time with you guys in the first quarter.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I just, I'll throw out what I think is a compliancy type conversation. It actually relates to Q2, but let's get a fire starter going, because I want you to think about maybe a couple things you've heard in Q1, a couple things you predict in Q2. Here's what I heard the other day from Jim Remke, who's up on our site over at the Point of Sale Remarketing Group in Chicago, Illinois. And he said, Harry, in the interview, he said, Harry, March 31st is the deadline for the state of Illinois application period for licenses throughout the supply chain. And then those will be awarded on May 7th. So the point is, we have procedural momentum, right? I mean, the world continues to turn. And that's an example. Go ahead and give me a couple talking points. What do you think you're seeing here in Q1, and maybe what can we think about Q2?
So there were some trends that we were seeing tracking of states that have been they've passed the regulation, they've done their licensing period, they kind of stalled for a fair amount of time, and then now are beginning to make the move to actually have the facilities being set up in the new states. We saw more and more, let's say, of a relaxing around the going to making recreational more appropriate and more in states. And then I really, I think unfortunately all the craziness going on right now in the world economy, I really thought we were close that by the end of this year we would have seen change in some of the financial structure, where we could have actually start seeing where the RICO Act would be modified so that people could take credit cards, right? Although unfortunately I think that is going to get slowed down right now, because I think this everybody's distracted with far more serious things. I do also think that the one of the negative things I've seen was the mixing in between what is the vaping issues with what is non-420 related, bleeding into what is that anything that's vaping is bad and deadly and unhealthy. So we saw, for example, state of Michigan took almost everything off the shelves, right, and then went through a series of testing initiatives so a far limited stock was put back on the shelves. But I'm hoping that we're past that, and that the challenges that we're having with what was the vape having inappropriate materials in it is being controlled.
Yeah,
those are the 3 or 4 arms.
Well, and I'll tell you what, I'll pitch in, and then we'll circle back to you soon, for more updates, because your feet on the street. But I think the political environment has changed in this way, specific to the cannabis vertical, the cannabis industry, is that one thing I've shared in prior interviews up online is that the state of Florida did not reach their signature requirement for the petition for 2020. So they are now focusing on 2022. And along those lines, I think you're going to see our attention is diverted elsewhere. For example, in the presidential debates, obviously the word cannabis hasn't even come up in the last couple debates, right? It's not a priority. And to your point, I think we're going to see things be a little bit more of a slow roll. Now, that's not all bad for the MSP, right? We're still telling the MSPs, invest today, educate yourself. If it's a slow roll, that's fine. 2022, perfect, right? I mean, you'll be ready.
Actually, and it's funny, we see some MSPs that had focused on verticals that are getting hit very hard right now. And I think they're trying very hard to find, new client opportunities outside of the hard hit verticals, hospitality, restaurant businesses. But the ones that had a more diverse client base seem to be booming right now with helping their clients set up for home health care. I'm sorry,
Yep.
for working from home offices. So that seems to be, a little bit of a bust for some, but a boom for others. I was on a call with some of the vendor folks, and they were, kind of an interesting mixed bag, right? We had one vendor who was saying it's scary, we're kind of having a really tough time, and then we saw another vendor who was selling, the tools that they sell are the things that people need to work from home, so they're booming. The one thing that we're seeing, and this is something that we're seeing both across client and MSP, is things are going to settle down a little bit, right? And that's a good. It will be a good time to start having strategic discussions, right? Everyone is going to be stuck not being able to have business as usual, which means they will have time to discuss the things that they, the strategic initiatives they wanted to work on. The indicators we're seeing from the folks that we're talking to is not this week, still a little too crazy, okay? But once everything's set up and things have kind of at least are in a holding pattern, they're interested in finding opportunities. They want to focus on the opportunities to expand their environments while things are slow.
Yeah, I mean, chaos always creates opportunities, and I'll end on this. Along these lines, I talked with a former CEO of a large franchise organization, and he predicts for his franchise holders in the MSP community, this could be a 36-month run, a 3-year run to help both enterprises and SMBs securely, safely set up remote offices, to the standards we would expect for back to compliance, especially for insurance, finance.
No. Hey, actually, we're not meant as a plug, meant as let's say community service announcements we're doing. We're doing webinars on how to have a safe and effective or compliant home office. And then we're giving away things like, bring your own device policies, a working from home set of policies and procedures, that outline some of the technical requirements need to be there, because we think a lot of these organizations are just scrambling, right? They're flailing often with very little guidance. It's definitely crushing some of the, Microsoft Teams went down, GoToMeeting had like a 3-minute delay before it would come up. So they're getting hit pretty hard.
Well, hey, let's do this. If you could send me some links to the resources you mentioned, the webinars you're putting on and so on, I'm going to put it in the blog right below so Please. People can click through. And Mark, keep it safe, wash your hands, and we'll talk to you sooner rather than later. Thank you, sir.
All right, same thing for you guys. Be safe, and look forward to speaking to you hopefully next month when things are a little more sane.
There we go. All right.
All right.